Alexia Putellas is one of, if not the best women's player ever seen on this planet. And this is her story. She was born in Mollet, Barcelona on the 4th of February 1994. And she was born into a sports family, so it made sense that she would try different sports like tennis, basketball, and hockey. However, by the age of 7, she tried football, and she even participated in a football summer camp run by the legendary midfielder Xavi Hernandez. And ever since then, it just has been heard of. She has never stopped playing it. And that's how she joined a football club called Sabadell at the age of 7, where she would become the captain of the team despite being the youngest on the team. Crazy work. An early sign of her having the leadership. And growing up, she idolized Ronaldinho, Iniesta, Rivaldo, and also Luisa Necip Adrian, which is a women's player. No wonder she has that magical left foot passing ability and just skills. She was also already part of a Catalan youth team at the age of 10, which was an autonomous Catalan club, which is getting the best young talents around with the Catalonia and compete with other Spanish regions. And in her Spain career, she would start in 2008 and should win the Under-14 championship. Just trophies already. She would join La Masia in 2005, but due to the team reconstructing, there wasn't an age group for her. Therefore, she had to leave Barcelona, and that's how she ended up in Espanyol, where she would spend 5 years there, 2006 to 2011, before joining Levante for 1 season. And in Espanyol, that's where she got her first team debut at the age of 16. And she even won Copa del Reina in 2010 with Espanyol. Copa del Reina, so you know, it's the Copa del Rey if you want to compare to the men's. And yeah, she would also play the youth team of Spanish at the age of 15, and she even won the U17 Euros. And she would help them also qualify for the U17 World Cup the very same year. She's just cooking every single game, bro. And after joining Levante for 1 season, she would become their top scorer with 15 goals. Imagine, at the age of 17, already the top scorer of the team. And in 2011, Spain would repeat their Euro glory by beating France 1-0 in the final. So 2 trophies in 2 years. 10th of July 2012, where her boyhood club will come back and sign her for free. Her dream move is on. She joined her boyhood club. And in her first season, she already won a domestic treble. So she already won La Ligue and Copa del Reina. And also she got the opportunity to play in the UCL for the very first time, but Barcelona lost 7-0 on aggregate against Arsenal in the round of 32. Ouch. But hey, Barcelona starts from somewhere, you know. And now, also, in the 5th of May 2013 is when they won the league at San Mamés, the stadium of Atletico Bilbao. And that's when she said it was very impressive, because 10 years ago, it would not have been possible to, have so many people cheering, watching them lift the trophy, because there was 25,000 people. And in July, her first international goal was in the Euro 2013, where she would score the header in the group stage, but they would lose in the quarters. Now in 2014, she would win the league again, and in the 2015 Copa del Reina, she went crazy by scoring in every single stage of the competition against Real Sociedad, Rayo Vallecano, and in the final, she would score the goal to tie the match, so it could go to extra time and they would win on penalties. In 2015, she scored her first ever Champions League goal against Slavia Prague, but they would lose in the round of 16. In May 2015 is where her first ever World Cup happened, and she started every single game at the age of 20. But they lost 2 and drew 1, so their coach left. 2015 to 2016 season, Barcelona made a historical achievement. They became a fully professional football club, which she responded her happiness by scoring 4 goals in a Liga F match against Fundación Albacete, and she has never scored a hat-trick before. But in the Champions League, it was still disappointing because they lost 1-0 to PSG this time. And they also lost La Copa de la Reina to Atletico Madrid 3-2. In the 2016-17 season, she would miss the first game due to injury, but she would come back like she never left. How? She would score a hat-trick against Rayo Vallecano. And Barcelona would also reach their first ever Women's Champions League semi-final. But they will still lose. Hey, it's early signs to show that they are gonna dominate. Just wait. And also they will lose to PSG again 5-1. And you know what else? They lost the league to Atletico Madrid. What? But they got their revenge by winning the Copa de la Reina against them 4-1. So, you know. And in the 2017 July was also the Euro. But despite winning against Portugal and losing both games against England and Scotland in the group stage, they somehow still advanced to the quarters, but they would still lose to Switzerland 5-3 on penalties. Sad. In the 2017-18 season, the 2nd of October 2017 was a historical day for her because she wore the captain's armband for the very first time at the age of 24. And she would also score the winning goals against Levante in the quarters of La Copa de la Reina, which was crucial because they went on to win in the final against Atletico Madrid for the 10 million times 1-0. Like, stop torturing Atletico Madrid, man. Moving on to the next season, 2018-2019 season, she would score 19 goals. And she even scored 4 goals again against Rayo Vallecano. And she would also play their first ever UCL Women's Champions League final against Lyon. But sadly, they would lose 4-1. So close, yet so far. They are so close to their dream. Although she lost, she renewed her contract with Barcelona until 2022. And May 2019 was the World Cup once again. But this time they still couldn't shine. They lost in the round of 16 by the eventual winner USA in a 2-1 loss. Still trying to get the glory for Spain. In the 2019-2020 season, she became the second captain of the Barcelona. And they would start the season by a 9-1 domination win against Tacon. Tacon, just so you know, is basically Real Madrid, the female team. And there's also a team called Madrid CFF, but they're different because Real Madrid Femenino is just owned by Real Madrid, the 15 Champions League one, but Madrid CFF is owned by another businessman, so they're different, just so you know. And she would kick off their Barcelona Champions League by scoring a goal against Juventus in a 2-1 win. And of course, due to the infamous pandemic, the league was stopped, where Barcelona only played 21 games, but they would still win the league. I mean, of course, they always win the league. And they would lose in the semi-final of the Champions League against Wolfsburg 1-0. So close. And in February of 2021 was when the delay of the Copa de la Reina was played. And the only problem was that it just only delayed Barcelona to claim the trophy because they still won against Logroño. It was like her 10 billionth Copa del Rey trophy, bro. In the 2020-21 season was when she became the captain. It was the season Barcelona won their first ever Champions League trophy. She started the season in a 4-0 El Clasico win against Madrid. And she would also score a hat-trick against Deportivo Abanca in a 9-0 thrashing. And this season, they would only lose 3 games. One game was lost in the final of the Supercopa de España. But in the El Clasico, you know what she does? She scored a goal, which was her 100th goal for the club. You just had to do that against a Madrid fan, yeah. The season also just had to be hers because she would score 26 goals in total. And they would reach their second UCL final where they would finally win their first ever UCL against Chelsea in a 4-0 dominant win. And they would also win the Copa del Rey. And they would also win their league, of course. So they just won a treble. UCL, League, Copa del Rey. Just give everything to her. 2021-2022 season. She won the Spain Player of the Year in November. The first Spanish woman to win the UEFA Women Player of the Year. And you think that season was crazy? Listen to this one. She would score 34 goals in total. And she would even score a hat-trick, which was the fastest ever in the Spanish women's history. And what's more, you might ask? She would win the Supercopa de España. She would win her first ever Ballon d'Or. She would win the best midfielder in the Champions League. She would win the domestic treble, League, Copa del Rey, Supercopa. 2021, first female player to win the Cruz de Sant Jordi, which was an award just to honor services to Catalonia. It was only awarded to Messi and Cruyff. And she was just breaking records left, right, and center. But although they advanced to the final of the Champions League, they would lose in the final against Lyon in a 3-1 loss. It was sad, but hey, she wrapped up the season by being the Champions League Player of the Season with 11 goals in total, the top scorer. In 2022-2023 season was a sad one because on the 5th of July, she would tore her ACL before the Euro. It was sad because she came back at the end of March. You know what happened? Barcelona would still win their UCL by being 2-0 down against Wolfsburg in the final after half-time. So they just completed a second half remontada. Crazy work. Not to mention she would win the Ballon d'Or in October. So 2 Ballon d'Or back to back. July 2023 was the World Cup, the second. Because of her injury, she wasn't as influential as you would have expected, but she still assisted in one of the group stage games, and she played in the last minutes of the World Cup final, where they won 1-0 against England. So she was World Cup champion. Let's go. In the 2023-2024 season, she would Barcelona was in the final of the UCL again, and they were winning 1-0 against Lyon. And she came on in the last minutes of the game, and you know what happened? She somehow scored again in the 95th minutes, securing the UCL trophy once again. And of course, she would win the league for like the 10 billion times. 2024-2025 season, at the end of November, she would become Barcelona's 3rd-time top-leading goal scorer. And she would win the league, she would win the Copa del Rey against Atletico Madrid, she would win the Supercopa de España, but they would lose to Arsenal in the final. She ended the season great by 22 goals in 39 games. Now in the 2025-2026 season, she would score 20 goals in 42 games. And she went absolutely crazy by scoring 8 goals and assisting 6 goals in 11 games of the Champions League. Isn't this Messi numbers? Isn't this Ronaldo numbers? And of course, she would score in the final against Madrid in Supercopa. In the quarterfinal of the Champions League, they would play against Madrid. And of course, it was like a piece of cake because Madrid in female is just sucks. Barcelona would just easily go through to the final of the Champions League once again against Lyon in the final again. And on the 23rd of May, Barcelona would complete their 4th UCL trophy by winning 4-0 against Lyon. Guys, chill. And this season, you know what they did? They won a quadruple. So they won a league, Copa del Reina, Supercopa, and UCL. Every single season, she is just collecting trophies like it was nothing, man. Alexia Putellas. She was a Barca fan as a young girl. She watched Iniesta while you played like him. Often, I watch you play and I think you are the female version of Lionel Messi. Your magical left foot, your skills, your passing, your shooting abilities. Everything about you makes you one of the best women's players ever. And you made the girls believe that we can play our favorite sport professionally. This is her achievements. Listen, she won 10 league titles, 9 Copa del Reina, 6 Catalonia Cup, 4 UCL, 4 Super Cup, alongside 2 Ballon d'Or, 2 FIFA the Best, 2 UEFA Player of the Season, 1 UEFA Women UCL Player of the Season, 2 Global Soccer Awards Player of the Year, while being Barcelona's second highest goal scorer with 232 goals, only behind the one and only Lionel Messi. Let me breathe. Look at these crazy achievements. Alexia Putellas, you are very special. I think the best way to put it is as her teammate Claudio Pina said it. Alexia is Barca. Barca is Alexia. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining with me today. You're part of a community I dream of building, and shout out Football Lens.